Hi.
Hi, Jackie.
Hi,
Good to see
How are you?
you.
see you too.
Hey, Becky.
Hi.
Hello. All right, give me 1 second here. Oh, yeah, the recording just stopped. Oh, lovely.
It's recording at my end. Oh no, it's not flashing.
Um, okay.
It says up in the top it's recording, but
Oh no, I meant my QuickTime.
oh, gotcha.
So let me just give it one more whirl with that. And if not, then okay. Yeah, it's not gonna work. Oh well. All right, so hi. Welcome to Painting Your Way. I'm glad that you all are here. And we are going to be painting a really cool picture today. I'm excited about it. But first, we will do our little introduction. So, Melissa, you go first.
Hi, Jackie. Hi, Becky. It's great to see you. Hi, everybody watching the video later. Thanks for joining us. Paul and I are excited to have everybody here. We really like painting in this class. It's just really fun. It's nice that we can kind of do our own thing and help each of you decide what's best for you. So my name is Melissa. I have been an artist for as long as I can remember. I'm a painter, art director. I work for a large greeting card company, so I work a little bit on the fine art side and a little bit on the commercial side. So I just love getting a chance to take some time out of my life to paint and try something a little bit different and kind of go back to the basics. Paul and I both enjoy doing that.
Mm-hmm. And
So
I'm
it's
Paul. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you go right ahead. I am done. Please
Yeah, time's up, Melissa. Cut.
cut me off.
I'm Paul. I live in California. I'm a painter, illustrator, teacher, and I love doing these classes too because I forced Melissa to be my friend when we were in college because I wanted to paint with her and learn how she did stuff. So I'm still getting to do that now, 20 years later. All right, why don't you guys introduce yourselves, even though we all know each other, but it's fun still anyway. So Becky, you first.
I'm Becky and I'm here in Columbus, Ohio. And I'm retired. I'm a retired social worker and I'm taking as many of these classes as I can. So
I love it. I'm so glad you
Yeah.
are. And Jackie, hi.
Nice to see you. I'm Jackie. I'm also in California, and I too have been taking as many classes as I can. I'm mostly retired. I still work a little bit, but honestly, my classes are always the highlight of my week.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm so glad. I love seeing the stuff that you do in Deb's class that when you post it each week. It's so cool. Such a great group in there.
It is.
All right. Let me see. So I emailed you guys the reference photo. Did you guys get it, or do you want me? Anybody need me to send it through the chat?
no, I got it.
Okay. Did you get it, Jackie?
I did.
Okay. So we are painting this lovely boat today. I'll just show it on the screen for everybody else who might be watching this in the future. Um, there it is. So we picked this one because it's a little different. It's not quite as, busy or complex as some of the subjects that we have chosen, but there's actually a lot of interesting stuff going on in the water with all of those reflections and shapes. And so we wanted to be able to spend some time, having fun with that. And Melissa and I are both going to be painting it in our own unique way. And then we encourage everybody to take whatever tips you want from each of us or, do it your own way too. That's totally fine. So today I'll switch my camera here. I am working in oil on canvas. What are you working on, Melissa?
I have my acrylic and my watercolor paper. Some of you working that way.
Lovely. Right. This. All right. Hi back there. All right, let me move out of your way so you can see me. There we go. Or you can see the canvas. Let me just pull up my reference and we'll just get started.
Sounds good. I always have to get a head start because Paul is way faster than me, so I've already drawn things out a little bit.
Cheater.
It helps me feel better about myself.
So
Well,
can we see what you've
that's
done,
what
Melissa?
matters.
See your
Yeah,
stuff?
it's a little hard to see, so it's just really light. I've just drawn the boat in here.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
I have drawn it more towards the bottom of the composition just because I love everything that's going on in the water. And it's something about a non-symmetrical, asymmetrical composition just is more interesting to me. So I've
Mhm.
moved things around a little bit.
Yeah, I might do the same. Having it right in the middle is fine too. If you want to do that, you can really, that's the nice thing about an image like this. I think it's really easy to customize it for whatever, whatever you want to do. You could even turn your canvas around and make it a horizontal composition if you want. You could crop in and just show part of the boat. I mean, it's really, I think that's a really good way for people to start thinking about how to personalize, a painting. That's always the question, is how do I make it my own? And I think one of the ways right from the beginning is to think about the composition. You don't have to use what the photographer did.
Yep, definitely. And sometimes it's better if you don't, if you do change it up a little bit. We
Yeah.
already have the photo. Sometimes paintings can be more interesting when you add your own stamp,
Yeah,
your own signature style in there. So
definitely.
something just
Hmm.
interesting about the asymmetrical composition. I think the boat either, kind of off center. It makes you think more about, what's going on with the boat, what's going on with the water. Something
Yeah.
more about it. There's like more storytelling or something that happens because of that.
Yep. So I am just doing my usual thing. If you've watched our videos before, you've seen me do this. I like to cover the canvas with a quick layer of burnt sienna just to get some color on there. And it makes it so that when I go in to actually paint, it takes the canvas takes the paint a little better. It kind of glides on. I don't have to fight it as much. So I'm just painting a solid color right now. You might want to watch Melissa for a bit. That'll be more interesting.
I don't know. I'm kind of doing something similar this time, Paul. I feel like this one kind of requires an underpainting just because of the way the water is, and I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it'll help me. So I am starting in a very similar way, if you can imagine that.
Well, I'm glad I can help you learn this technique.
Look at all that you taught me.
Oh, I know.
Becky and Jackie, how are you both working today?
Well, I'm really struggling because I'm not inspired by the picture.
Okay.
Oh no.
I'm trying to think about what to do. I've got my watercolors out and I've got my acrylics out and I'm sketching on a watercolor paper right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that you might want to think about that, because I'm actually going to, I had an ulterior motive for choosing this image too, besides just liking it. I'm getting ready for a show in November, so I've taken like some of our other paintings that we've done and then painted on top of them or added to them to turn them into, paintings for my show. So I picked this one because I thought it would leave a lot of room for me to put my own spin on it later after the fact. So one of the things I'm thinking about is like this unusual view of not seeing the sky, only seeing the water would be kind of cool way to incorporate other things in the reflections that are not really there if you wanted to invent your own kind of scene. I know you love trees, so you could paint reflections of upside down trees in the water.
Well, I'll ask you a question. Are you seeing it without sky as it is?
Yeah, that's how I see it. Is that it looks to me like the horizon is all the way up out of view.
Oh, see, I see right up to the, as you look at it, up to the left, there's kind of a little hill almost with a cross on it. And then above that is the sky and the clouds, and that they kind of merge together, right?
Oh, you know what? I see what you're looking at, but that's just a reflection of something. Right? Is that or how do you see it, Melissa? I guess I shouldn't assume I'm.
That's interesting. Yeah, I totally just saw water.
Yeah, I guess because up above that, there's so many more ripples still that don't look like clouds to me.
Oh.
I think it's all water. But you know what? That is up for interpretation. So you can do it however you want, but don't be limited by the photo. You can add whatever you feel like in there. That's a good challenge for you.
Yeah, this is a hard one today.
We like to challenge you a little.
It's Paul's fault, Jackie.
I know, blame me.
Doggone that, Paul.
I know.
He did it, I swear.
Melissa found it.
I did actually.
If we are
Found it.
pointing fingers.
I gave him options and he chose this one. I guess we're both to blame.
You could paint someone in the boat. I could see Becky doing that. Jackie, paint your dog in the boat.
Yeah, you know what?
That would be adorable. That photo you posted this morning with the cute jacket.
Oh, you love his love. We went to Porch Fest last night and they at a Beatles concert. And
Oh,
his you couldn't quite tell in the photograph, but his mohawk was orange.
nice.
It's-
I bet he was quite popular there.
He was. It's gotten to the point now where people used to greet me.
Yes.
Well, now it's like, oh, is Baby Yoda here? Oh, good, there he is.
Yep.
No, he's upstaged you, Jackie. You can have
I
that.
know. That's
yeah.
not
Just
fair.
great, yeah.
How about you, Becky? How are you doing over there?
I'm good. I painted the canvas. Or is it a board? I guess it's a board. I don't know what it is. Anyway,
Paint on something.
yeah, exactly. I painted one of the rooms in my house this kind of pale blue.
Mhm.
And of course it's an acrylic paint. And so, you know, I kind of use my different things over again and I just paint over them, which is
Yeah.
how they get so bumpy.
Uh-huh.
And I'm kind of liking, so I'm trying to do this orange thing that I think is cool in there, although it's more pink than orange. But anyway, I'm kind of liking how the blue is looking with this.
It is
Yeah.
fun when you have an underpainting or a base coat that kind of is the opposite of what you're putting on top of it. I like that.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's I do like it.
I think it will be fun to see how all four of us interpret this.
Yeah. Yeah, Jackie, I'm interested to see what you end up doing with it.
So am
Oh
I.
yeah. Usually my favorite paintings that I do are the ones that I start out thinking, oh my gosh, what am I even gonna do with this?
Hmm.
I might just spend the whole time painting the canvas brown.
You got a big canvas there, Paul. It might take you a while.
I know. I'm excited for the ripples and water reflections and things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That'll be fun.
I'm gonna ruin it, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Wow, Melissa, look at you. You are racing ahead of me here. Oh,
I know, right?
no fair.
Killing it over here, Paul. You gotta catch up.
Man, when did you become so speedy?
This is what you've done to me. Taught me. I better keep up.
Uh-huh.
You trained me.
I have some friends that do those like speed painting competitions.
Oh, really?
Sometimes they have to like they all stand around and paint for 20 minutes or 30 minutes or something, and then they get judged, and whoever's are the best moves on to the next round. And I mean, 20 minutes, that's
like nothing.
that, yeah. That sounds like your nightmare to be in that competition.
Yeah, it sounds horrible.
So what are they judging?
I think the ones that I've never been to it, but the one that my friend was telling me about, the audience like voted somehow, or like who got the loudest applause or something.
That sounds even scarier.
I know.
Then you just better bring a bunch of people into the audience that know you.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. People could easily just be a popularity thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, I've almost got the canvas covered. It is worth it though. It makes the next layer so much easier.
Mhm. Yeah, it does make a difference.
When you're trying to oil paint onto a really dry canvas, that first coat, it's just, you kind of have to like grind it in if you don't do this.
Mhm.
This is just me giving Melissa a head start.
Yeah, he's just letting me win this time.
Yep.
So I've just been mixing a lot of water in with my acrylic paint as I've been doing the underpainting, and that just helps me paint a little bit quicker. And I think it helps the paint go on a lot quicker when you're working with acrylic.
Mm-hmm.
If it's drier, it can take a while. Like Paul was saying, you're kind of grinding it into the canvas or the paper or whatever you're painting on. Same with acrylic, if it's too dry, that issue.
So what do you think are some of the biggest benefits of doing an underpainting, and how do you decide when you want to do one and when you don't? Because sometimes you do and sometimes you don't.
Mhm. I mean, usually in these classes, like sometimes I will skip it in these classes if I just want to get something on the canvas quickly and I just want to move to color.
Yeah.
Normally, if I were going to do a longer painting for a gallery show or something, I would always do an underpainting, or usually I'll do a full value scale drawing
Mm-hmm.
and go back and paint on top of it, because I feel like it saves you so much time. It's just a nice base to work on, and then I almost do like a glaze on top with the color because the values already worked out,
Yeah.
and I think it just makes life a lot easier.
Yeah. So it's not like you're painting it twice, really. You're kind of just using what's there and building on it.
Yeah. But sometimes when in these classes, if I'm doing acrylic, I'll just go straight to color, just because, limited time, and
Yeah.
it's more interesting to see the color. With this one, I chose to do the underpainting just because there is so much that is subtly gradated in the background. So there's just like so many subtle value changes.
Hmm.
And I felt like getting the underpainting would really help.
Yeah.
It's not going to take as much work when I start doing the color on top.
So technically, is burnt sienna orange? Is it made up of yellow and red?
It is a very orangey, I would say it's a very orangey brown.
Mm-hmm.
On the screen, it looks maybe a little more orange than what it looks like in person, but not much. I mean, it's pretty kind of rust
Mm-hmm.
colored.
Yeah, I think if you were gonna try and mix it, Becky, it would be probably a red, a yellow, and some black. I think could probably get you there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Not much black.
Yeah. Just a little bit. I mean, you could do a little bit of blue too, just to tone it down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was wanting to put it with some blue, but I was afraid of getting green.
But it would do what?
Wouldn't it turn to green?
If you have the orange, blue would actually tone it down. It would get a little greenish, maybe depending on what, you know, how much yellow you have in there.
Okay, I'm gonna do it, and if it ruins this beautiful painting,
blame Melissa.
Yeah, you can't ruin it. I would just mix it first, Becky. See where you get. Just do tiny little bits of blue.
See, she's kind of backpedaling now.
No, this is how you mix stuff. I swear.
She was quick to throw me under the bus when Jackie said she didn't like the reference, so I'm giving it right back.
And I would do it again, Paul.
I know you would. So I'm just
now, what I say to people in my class is no blame is required.
okay.
Unless you're the teacher, then you can blame as many people as you want.
Yeah. The just getting the perspective on the boat is actually going to be an interesting challenge. I mean, it looks like a simple shape, but when you really start studying it, it's not quite that simple, really.
It's a little tricky, yeah. There's a little bit of a point on the front, which is a little tricky.
Yeah, really pay attention to where the curves are, where the angles, how they change.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That point is not centered because you're seeing more on this side than you are on this side because this is the side that's closer.
Yep.
Sometimes the simplest things are, I find, the most challenging because you really have to get them right.
Yep, that is true. And when you only have one thing in your painting, like one subject in your painting like this, it's obviously going to draw more attention to itself. So
Yeah.
right.
I'm doing the same thing as Melissa and putting the boat down lower because I want to be able to have all that space up above. I think I put mine even a little lower than she did. Probably won't get to it today, but I'm gonna change a lot of what's up there as this painting develops. So you'll have to share it with you all so you can see how it's done.
I know a lot of your paintings have a night sky theme, right, Paul?
Yeah, yeah. So this one's gonna probably get turned into nighttime or
Gotcha.
twilight or something.
Imagining.
Yes. Somebody might end up in the boat or who knows, we will see. I like having something as a starting point and not always knowing even what I'm going to do with it. If you're doing a process like mine and you make a line that you want to change, you can usually just kind of brush it right in since everything's wet. It's like I'm having a little built-in eraser.
Yep.
Angle that down more.
My underpainting done with the burnt sienna, and now I just grabbed some white and I'm going back into that boat since it's the only thing that's white in the whole painting. I'm just making sure I'm adding that before I go any further. Just want to pull that out a little bit value wise.
don't know if I want what is that? Is that like a little like rope that's probably holding it to the,
To the dock or whatever, yeah.
yeah, I don't want that. I want mine to just be floating out there.
Just a lonely little boat lost at sea.
Yeah, it's more moody. Is that little ball that's next to it in the front? That's probably part of the whatever is anchoring it, I would bet.
Yeah, it looks like a float or something.
Okay, not doing that either then.
Shoot, my boat doesn't have a motor, it doesn't have, I'm not putting any of that stuff in there,
It doesn't need it.
really.
You get to make those executive decisions when you're the artist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Whatever floats your boat.
Oh, you just had to go there, didn't you?
Not myself. Sorry. I apologize. I do work for a greeting card company.
Yes, it comes out sometimes.
Yeah. And they're too long, apparently.
I know, I'm starting to get nervous. All right. So when I do underpaintings, I like to just take the terpenoid or turpentine that I'm used to clean my brush with, and I'll go through and put just that on the brush and then kind of lift up the paint to get my highlights. And you can kind of just wet the area and then lift it with a paper towel. Just a quick way to get some light values in there so you can start to see them, and then I'll paint in a few of the darks, and I'll be ready to paint for real. Your boat already looks so real.
You think?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're done.
I'm done. All right, I'm done. See y'all later.
Yep.
Done.
You could just fly out here and help me finish mine.
You went a little ambitious today, Paul, with the giant canvas.
Oh, you know I love a good challenge.
You do.
I did
Until
a live
it's the night
painting.
before.
What's that?
You love a good challenge until it's it's the night before something's due and you have to rush to get it done.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that part's never fun.
Been there with you before.
Yep. Made you help me with some of them.
Yep.
There may or may not be a children's book out there with my name on it that Melissa did most of the work for.
Yep. At least the drawings.
Yeah, that's right. You drew them and I painted them, I think.
Yep. Were you gonna say something else, Paul, when I interrupted you? I think you were gonna say something about live painting.
Oh yeah, I did a live painting that was this size a couple weeks ago at an event that I had 3 hours to paint it in. That was a little, it was fun, but a little stressful. Because of course I was super ambitious with what I painted. All right, got my boat. I'm gonna just quickly put in some of the ripples. I love painting water because you can just do whatever.
Yeah. Kind of like a sky. Which makes sense, though. Jackie thought it was, Jackie saw sky.
Yep. I mean, in a sense, it is the sky. It's reflecting the sky.
Right.
You can kind of create shapes that you want to create in the water that will help move people's eyes around the composition in a way that you want them to. I like to do a lot of zigzaggy movements, so that's how I'm kind of building them. But you do want to think about how people's eyes will be traveling around your piece.
Mhm.
Well, how are we supposed to know that?
Well, you lead them with the shapes and lines and elements that you add. I think the first step is figuring out what the focal point is. In this painting, it's very easy. It's the boat. But if it's a more complex subject, you know, you choose what you want the focal point to be, and you put the most emphasis and contrast there. And then you have to start thinking about how are people's eyes going to, where are they going to go next after they look at that thing. And you use line and shapes and repetition can be a part of it. There are a lot of different, you know, all the elements of art can be used for that. But it's not, I think it would be a really good thing for you to start thinking about more with your work, Becky, is how can you be more like deliberate about leading people through the composition. I don't know, you have any other tips on that, Melissa?
No, I think you put it really well, Paul. I mean, I think it's just like you said, it's those I know Paul and I did a class on this actually, the design fundamentals. So like Paul said, repetition, contrast, value, a lot of those things will kind of help you manipulate where people are looking at your painting. So it helps you have control over that.
You get to be a total control freak and boss people around and tell them where to look. It's wonderful.
I gave that up when I retired.
You're just like, look wherever you want, I don't care.
Yeah, really, you're no
Not my job
longer
anymore.
my responsibility.
Yeah,
Yep.
really.
Yeah. But actually, as you were talking about it, both of you, this picture I'm doing right now, Melissa, I'm doing it in black and white, and then I'm going to have rays of color come in.
Oh, that's cool, Becky.
So what you're saying is making me think about how, because I've been puzzling. Of course, you know, I spent 2 hours working on a hand that I painted over because I didn't like it.
We've all been there.
Yeah, so this painting is going to take me more than a minute to finish. So I have lots of time to kind of think about how am I going to handle that color. So
Yeah.
what you're saying is kind of interesting to me because I'm thinking, how do I want to,
Yeah.
you know, it's one thing to say you want an effect. It's another thing. What I hear you guys saying is thinking about this will help you tell the story that you're trying to tell in your painting.
Yes.
Exactly. Yep.
Yes. And there are some pieces that, you know, do that very intentionally and very, you know, very effectively. Like they lead you through and you pick up pieces of the, you know, clues of the story until you get to that, you know, final point where you understand what's happening. I mean, it can be as, you know, intentional as that. But I think a good way to start learning about it is to just look at other people's art and start paying attention to where your eye goes first and then where it goes next, and then try to analyze why that happened. What did the artist do that made that? Because it isn't accidental.
Right.
Well, it's funny again that you should say that. You know, a couple of weeks ago I was up in Cleveland to see the Tudor exhibit, and
that's
they've
right.
got, oh yeah, it was very fun. I'm a big fan of the Tudors, even though they're horrible people.
I remember you saying that, Becky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all have our guilty pleasures.
Exactly. Elizabeth, I love, and yet I wouldn't have to have Sunday dinner with her.
Yeah, yes.
But anyway, I found they have a Rothko in their permanent collection up there, so I was I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna really look at this painting, and because I had, you know, extra time, because the Tudor exhibit was very small. Anyway, so I know what you mean, because I really tried to think about what the intention was. Do you know the painting I'm talking about up there, Melissa? The one that's in their permanent collection?
I
Well, I'm going to tell you, it's hard.
but
It's
I
hard to
can't.
describe because it's like all of his paintings, you know.
Right.
But,
I'm guessing like 1 or 2 colors in big rectangles, right?
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
But if you stand there and really look at it, you find yourself kind of doing what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, he definitely wanted you to look at the painting a particular way. I think, not that I know.
Yeah. I think it makes looking at art more fun, really, when you look at it that way, because I don't know, a lot of people who are not necessarily super involved in the art world maybe feel a little intimidated when they look at a piece of art and they don't understand it. So the first impulse is just to say, I don't like it, and move on. But if you can look at it and, you know, it's okay if you don't like it, but that doesn't have to be the end of the conversation. You could still, you know, think about exactly what Becky was just saying. Like, well, even if it's not my taste or I don't like it, what was the artist trying to do, and did they accomplish that? And I always say this, but I think that I've learned more from art that I didn't like than anything else, because you're not so wrapped up in just thinking, oh, look how, you know, wonderful it is. You actually really think about all of those principles.
Yeah. Yep. I think Rothko's a really good example too, because a lot of people look at his work and they're like, oh, it's just a color field painting, you know, it's just some block of color, like what else is there, you know? And I think it's easy to dismiss it if you're not, like Paul was saying, if you're not used to looking at art, or, you know, you're newer to appreciating art.
Yeah.
But I think his paintings, because they are so simple, they are so intentional.
Yes.
And everything he did was on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And if you start looking at it that way, you think about it differently. You know, you start to appreciate things that maybe you wouldn't have appreciated if, you know, you're just like, oh, it's just some color.
No,
why is that so great? You know.
I have to admit, I looked at it for a long time, and I did find myself going, I like this.
Yeah, that can happen.
It's like that Jackson Pollock in the in the Chicago Art Institute. It was in the stairwell, like in the landing, one of those great big landings.
Yeah.
It was a huge. And so when you're walking up the stairs in the stairwell, you're staring at that painting. And I've been there many times and looked at it, but I have to admit, I've come to really like it.
Yeah, he's another one that like a lot of people will dismiss pretty quickly, but there's some really amazing stuff happening.
Yep. And I think, you know, his paintings are so expressive. They're more about the making of the painting than they necessarily are about the finished piece.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to appreciate there.
Yeah, just the energy of
the
process he used. You kind of feel that when you look at him. And I always think it's so much more interesting, right? I mean, I guess I wouldn't know, but it has to be more interesting for people who make art themselves to look at art, because you start to think about, like, well, how did they do this? How did they get the paint to do that effect? And you just appreciate it in a totally different way. I think other people, from talking to friends of mine who are not artists, you know, when they look at a piece of art, they're seeing it just as a finished image and not thinking about how it was made. And that's so different from how I look at art. It's hard for me to even imagine.
It's funny because a friend of mine and I were talking this week about she does her art is very much about she scrounges around and like secondhand shops and
Mhm.
places where they have like plastic flowers and you know all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff like that, and she makes these um different things with them, including one of the things that she does is she makes grave sprays, you know, the things that people use to cover their graves of people, like on their birthday or, you know,
Oh,
whatever.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And she
cool.
does those. She's been doing those for years and she puts a lot of time and thought into it, but she also does she did a wreath for the mother of a friend of hers. And this is how we got into talking about it. Her friend treated this thing that she created, the wreath, as if it were a decoration.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend was very kind of offended by kind of her lack of understanding what went into it. And
Yeah.
so we were kind of talking about that, you know,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
when you are doing some of this stuff, it's very personal for you, but are you doing it for yourself? I know, Paul, you say that all the time, but that's not entirely true in a way.
Uh-oh, she's calling me out.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't.
Um,
So I told her what you say, and we kind of came to the conclusion that it's a nice idea to say that you don't care what people think,
yeah.
but it's impossible to put if you think, as we did when we were talking about it, that you are putting yourself into whatever it is that you're making, or
Mm-hmm.
you're putting more than just, you know, I drew this picture, I created this decoration. That's
Yeah.
why we were. Then it's very difficult to take that kind of, yeah, I don't care if they like it or not. I'm, you know,
Right.
so
And
it
it
was an
does, it
interesting,
changes it also if you are doing it, you know, as a means of making a living or something too. There's always, you know, you have to factor in.
Right.
That's
yeah.
different than someone who's just making art for fun. For me, I mean, everything, every artist is different, so I'll be interested to hear what Melissa's thoughts are on this. But I think like what I do, I guess I'm very lucky in a sense because I, you know, was encouraged to be an artist or at least to make art at a very young age. And so there was no pressure of trying to impress anyone with it. It was just like it was just something I did and
Yeah.
became very much a part of just who I am. And it's easy for me to just reconnect with that whenever I am, you know, painting something or making art. But so I mean, I know it doesn't sound true, but it really is. When I am painting, I am not thinking about the people who are going to look at it or what they are going to think about it. But
Yeah.
if it's hanging in a gallery and there's people standing in front of it talking, you know, and I'm standing on the other side of the wall, I might listen. I'm human and I want to hear what people think. So I guess, but it's not going to change what I do. You know, I don't want to make
Yeah.
art to please them, but I guess it's almost about separating the two things. So, you know, you have that side that is about sharing it with people. And so, you know, that is more of an exchange. But for me, the separation comes when I'm making it, I'm not thinking about that.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point.
I don't know. What about you, Melissa? I mean, everybody loves your work, so you probably don't have to worry about it.
Please.
She's like, I don't know. Yeah, it's just so hard to hear all this praise all the time. I don't
Oh,
know.
goodness gracious. I mean, yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said, Paul. I mean, I think So obviously the commercial art industry is very different than the fine art industry. And
That's a good distinction to make because you have to worry about what people think in your professional life.
yeah, so my day job and what I get paid for is telling other people what works in their art and what doesn't.
Yeah.
So that's
Oh.
my day-to-day job, and that's kind of what I'm paid for, is to care what other people's art looks like and tell them what needs to be fixed.
Mhm.
But when I'm doing that, it's not based on what I think, it's based on more what I think the consumer is going to want.
Mhm.
Right.
So I have to put myself in the shoes of someone else, in my case, buying a greeting card. Are they going to want to send this to as many people as possible? And
Yeah,
what would
right.
stop them from doing that? And
Yeah.
so that's my job. So I'm paid to care what art looks like.
Yeah.
In my fine art career, which is very different than my commercial art career. Yeah, I'm approaching it like, what do I want to say with this painting? What is meaningful to me? Part of it is, what do I think other people are going to relate to? But I think most of it's like, what's helpful for me to communicate through this piece of artwork, and not necessarily, are people going to get it? It's more like, what do I need to say? What do I need to communicate? And that's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking about when I'm making a piece of artwork. And I'm not necessarily worried if they're gonna get it or not. I kind of appreciate the fact that everybody sees it in their own way. And
Yeah.
that's part of what's interesting about it to me, is that not really knowing what people are gonna think about it
Mhm.
Yeah.
or how they're gonna interpret it. I do my best to tell the story I want to tell, but actually the kind of cool part is that everybody sees it differently.
Yeah. And that's okay. Like that's actually
Mhm.
good.
Yeah. And I really, it's interesting sometimes hearing what other people think, or what stands out to them, or what's important to them that they see in my work. And that's kind of the part that I like about it, because that seems like something that pulls people together, is like everybody sees something differently, and then you can discuss that and um, talk it through. And I think that's what's interesting about art, is that you can find out more about people through creating your own art, or seeing what kind of art they create.
Yeah. I do think that brings up one interesting idea, which is, think if you are making a piece of art because you want it to have a message, I think that would be a time where you might consider, well, will somebody else understand this, or what, will it mean what I want it to mean to people? And then there are times when that just doesn't matter, and you're just doing it more to express something, and people can see it how they want to. And I've done both kinds. I've done some art that was very like political, and I wanted to I wanted people to know what I was saying.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then I've done pieces where it's more personal, or maybe more mysterious, or just open to however people want to see it. So I think
Mhm.
both work.
Do you remember that woman that was in a class when you were here in Columbus, Paul, that always wrote on her stuff, wrote words
Yeah, she did the really political like
and I
stuff.
remember you saying to her, because she did it so much, I
Yeah.
remember you saying to her, try to do it without. I actually don't think she did, but
No, but yes, I was like, what, make the art communicate the message rather than, yeah, like just writing it
but
out.
you're saying that to her really stuck with me.
Yeah.
And because prior to retiring, I lived in a world of words.
Yes.
I wrote technical stuff, and I gave lots of speeches, and
Mhm.
so it was all about your ability to communicate with words. And I'm thinking about that. It is very tempting to want to write on your stuff,
Oh yeah.
because It's like, hey, I just wrote this to you and now you know, right?
Yeah, and you know, there are times when adding words can be a really cool element in an art piece, but if it's just to like spell out what, you know, if it's just because you want to make sure people understand what it's about, if it's like you're building an artist statement into the painting, then I think
Yeah.
there are other ways to do that.
Mhm.
I've told this before, but you know, when I first started showing my work in galleries, I really was worried about this and wanted to make sure everybody understood what all my paintings were about. So I would send along like a paragraph, a printed out statement about each painting, and the gallery owner would never use them. And he said,
Oh
like,
no.
he said, Paul, people don't want this. They want to look at it and get the chance to, you know, interpret it and see it their way. So that kind of helped me to let go of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, Paul. It's like if you're gonna make visual art, learn how to communicate through visual art. I mean, obviously, if you want to add words to it, it's your thing, add words to it, but it is
Yeah.
interesting to explore the idea of how do you communicate this through visuals and how do you get people to understand what you're saying in a different way
Yeah.
without using words. And that's what's great about art is that that's what it is, you know. You're
Yeah,
communicating.
I mean, painting is its own language, so it doesn't need anything else.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what I'm playing with. I mean, as you
Mhm.
know, I like to have a story in mind when I'm doing this stuff.
Yes, yours
Um,
leave a lot of fun room for interpretation, though, and I like that.
But yeah, I'm trying to think about, like, I don't know what I'm thinking about. Like this picture I'm doing right now, it's so intriguing to me, but you know what I keep thinking they're looking at?
What's
I
that?
think they're looking at a spaceship that landed in the backyard.
I love that.
And I'm like, wow, that's a,
You
where
could
did
you could
that
put that
come
in there,
from?
or a hint of it if you want to. Why not?
But anyway,
I think of it kind of like, you know, when you see a play or a movie, what do you want? Do you want a narrator telling you everything that is happening, or do you want them to show you the story through their
yeah,
act?
yeah, no,
Kind
I
of painting
agree.
to me is the same way. We are like creating a whole little storyline right here in one image.
Well, yeah, I mean, I like this picture mainly because a boat, an empty boat on the water is like, what?
Yeah,
Who? What's going on here?
it's kind of,
Since
yeah, it's
I'm
an
like, I'm
invitation
not
to,
painting any the mooring or the motor or any of that.
yep.
There's more room for a story.
Yeah.
Yep.
How are you doing, Jackie? Are you finding your way into this one? Oh, can't hear you. Are you muted?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
there you
I'm listening with great interest.
are.
How's the painting going, Jackie? Are you feeling any more
I'm
interested
really
in it?
working hard at making good use of this. I really am.
Good, good. I'm
It's,
excited to see what you come up with.
Yeah.
well, in terms of the conversation, I paint. I actually really do paint for myself, and I
Yeah.
like it when somebody says, "Oh, I like that," but if
Mhm.
they don't, it's okay.
Yeah,
Because, yeah, and so I want to be able to take pleasure in what I create,
yeah,
Yep.
and
That's
if I don't, it's not a great feeling.
yeah.
I worry, because I teach a lot of young people, and you know, the impulse now, which was not even a possibility when I was a kid, was, you know, as soon as you create something, whatever it is, share it on social media, get everybody to, you know, see it and, you know, get their hopefully praise or whatever. And then if they don't get the response they're looking for, then they immediately think that what they made must not be any good. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that I did not grow up with that. Because that might change how I feel about it completely.
Mhm.
I mean, I think Jackie's point is a good one, and that is when you're doing it, you're doing it for both the pleasure, even if, like me, I often do have a story in my head.
Yeah.
But I do think that that is kind of the good part of it. But
Yeah.
eventually, even in our studio class, you're going to show it to somebody.
Yes. Yeah.
Even if you hang it in your own house, you're going to show it to somebody.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a new dimension that I hadn't really thought of when I was just trying to learn how to do stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that aspect of art that is kind of like a conversation, and it requires somebody to hear it.
Yeah, yeah. If a painting falls in the woods,
Right.
how do we fix that analogy?
We'll work on that, Becky. There's got to be a way to make that work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting. I think getting yourself to the point where you can appreciate your own work, even if others don't, can be that can be difficult. It's hard. It's hard to put your stuff out there. I mean, it's hard to being a commercial artist, constantly creating something, putting it out there, for other people to review it or consumers to buy it or not. People are going to tell you right away whether it's working or not, and you have to be ready for that.
Yeah.
And that can be very difficult in the beginning, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's where I have this odd departure. So I've always loved to create, and I let it go for 50 years because I was working.
Yeah.
And when I started back, I love to do it, but I will tell you the truth. I have sold it, but I don't like to. I really don't like to sell my work at all. I like to give it away.
Uh-huh.
For me, it's like having kids. But having said that, I really respect that art is a life. It can be a living.
Yeah.
So I'm careful about that, but I don't like to sell it. I don't like to.
Yeah.
And I have.
Yep.
Yeah. I've never wanted to have to solely rely on selling my fine art paintings for my complete income, because I didn't want to ever be in the position of having to paint what would sell. That's one of the things that I think that I am just happiest with about what I have done so far in my life as an artist, is that it's always been very authentic. And I do see people who are relying on income from selling their work. They will paint what people want instead of what they want, because they need to. They have to sell it, and I get that, but I don't want to have to do that. So that's why I do commercial work, I do teaching, I do all the other things I do so that I can sell my work, and that's nice. But if it doesn't sell, that's okay too.
Yeah. It's nice to have that second option, where you can express yourself in the way you want to express yourself, but you don't necessarily have to rely on it as income.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been on so Melissa's an art director, and so she's the one giving feedback to her team about what they need to do to change their work to make it sell better. And I've been on the other side of that as the freelance, the illustrator who was being told what to change and what needed to be done. And I think that's can be an ego blow for people too. But what I learned was that when somebody like Melissa is giving you feedback about your work, it's not necessarily because it doesn't mean that is the answer for what is making the art, what will make the art better. It's just what will make the art work better for that audience, for that purpose. It's like, and who knows that better than somebody who works in that field? So it helped me to not get upset about that. It's just like, it's not an attack on your work. It's just trying to make it so that it will accomplish the goal.
Yeah, you very much have to remove yourself from the whole commercial art field, and you just have to understand you're not creating something for yourself, you're creating something for someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's very different. And yet, you still have to find ways to get excited about it and put your own vision
Yeah.
into it. So it can be challenging.
Yeah, you still have to infuse part of yourself in
Yeah.
it, so you're excited about it and you're engaged with the process while you're doing it, but then you have to separate yourself at the end and know that you're not creating something for you're putting it out there for someone else.
Yeah.
Actually, it's kind of a nice thought when you think about it, like, you're creating something for someone to give to someone else, or for someone to appreciate in their home, or
Yeah.
which is kind of interesting, but challenging in the beginning, for sure.
Yeah, being an artist in any way as a profession is very humbling.
Yeah.
You'll work so hard on something, and then people will tell you why it's terrible.
You have to kind of get used to that.
Yeah.
You have to learn to separate your ego from what you're creating in the commercial art fields, which
Yeah.
you spend your whole life connecting yourself and who you are to your work and throwing yourself into it, and then you get a job and you have to take all that out of it.
Yeah. Kind of crazy, really.
Yep.
But necessary if you want to.
Mhm.
And I'd rather do that than work in a bank or something. So
Right, you're still making stuff, right? You're still getting to spend your time
Yeah.
getting paid to make art.
Yeah.
So if you love the process, it's still worth it.
I think it's really important, no matter what, that you always make some things that are just for you, that are never going to be, I have sketchbooks that I do that in, and I do some digital art that way that nobody ever sees, and that's important to you.
Yeah.
So I get what Jackie was saying, like there has to be that part of it that's just for yourself.
For sure.
I was gonna go all palette knifey with this, but I love all the subtlety in the water, so I think I'm gonna be a little more blendy today.
Wow, what is happening here? It's like we're becoming one person, Paul. It's very strange.
Next, you're gonna whip out the palette knife and start being
I
mean.
know, like I literally have one in my hand right now. I was never gonna start painting with it, but
We are having our Freaky Friday moment.
can you imagine? Can you imagine if
we
your brain
switch
was
lives.
my body?
Yeah.
Wow. Very interesting thought. It is really pretty though, how it becomes more blue, purpley blue at the top.
Yeah.
Slowly
This is a
fades.
really good study in color and like temperature of color. If you're thinking about where do you see the warmer tones, cooler tones, how do you get them to transition from one to the other? Because like Becky was saying earlier, talking about like, not wanting to mix green accidentally. If you put blue against blue, blend blue into yellow, it'll turn green. So you have to kind of build in some other colors to make that transition. And I'm giving myself until we have about a half hour left, and then no matter what, I've got to work on the boat. That's my strategy.
I can't believe we only have half an hour left.
I know, where did this time go?
We only have a half hour?
Yeah. Is that right? Yeah. Oh, no, we have an hour left.
No.
But
Oh my gosh.
we have about a half hour before I have to kick it into high gear.
Okay. That's right.
Yeah, it feels I love how all the shapes and color things that are happening with the color in here, it feels very magical. That's looking lovely, Melissa.
Thank you. Slowly adding some color in the background here.
Mhm.
Like you were saying, Paul, it's fun to play with the warm versus cool in the water.
Yeah. Fun just to think of it as abstract when you're painting the water. It doesn't just shapes, color.
A lot of the paintings you're doing for the show, Paul, are you using the palette knife, or are you painting them all differently, or how are you
They're
approaching?
all different. It's kind of weird. Normally I kind of pick one look or the other, but I'm kind of just doing whatever feels right for the piece.
Mhm.
So some of them have texture and some don't.
Yeah, I noticed the one you just finished, the one that was inspired by Linda, was much more realistic.
Mm-hmm. Yes. That was painted on top of a painting that we did in this class last year, the Northern Lights painting.
Mhm.
So there is some texture on it from that, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's kind of more detailed. Going to be a two-person show now because I got panicky about the size of the gallery. So I asked them if I could invite a friend. It's going to be there's this artist out here whose name is Andrew Jackson, which is kind of hilarious his name, but his work is beautiful, and he does these like nighttime urban paintings that I thought would be a good.
Oh, yeah, that'll be a good compliment.
Yeah, he really is like brilliant at capturing the feeling of light at nighttime, which is so different than what light looks like during the day.
Mhm.
I think we need to plan a show together sometime, Melissa.
Oh my goodness, Paul, don't even do this to me.
Wouldn't that be fun?
I mean, if I had any time to do anything,
For like 5 years from now.
I know if we want to use all the paintings from these classes, then
That would be kind of interesting, actually.
You could call it My Way.
Yes, I like that. And then we could have Becky and Jackie and Rosa and all of our regulars show their versions too.
yep,
That would be fun.
Mhm.
that would be fun.
I wonder where Rosa is today. She's slacking.
Was she supposed to be here?
No, she did not sign up for this one, but usually she does.
Yeah, I haven't
Oh,
seen Rosa for a
Rosa.
while.
She's been painting more now, like doing a big. She's doing this large acrylic painting in our Thursday evening class of Pavarotti.
Oh,
Really?
isn't it magnificent?
It is, yes, it's
Oh,
gorgeous.
God. She has built that up. She shared that in drawing class. Oh,
Oh, good. Yes. I love it because it's a gorgeous painting and it looks like if you took Rose's drawing style and turned it into paint, that's what it would be. It's just like gorgeous. It has
Right.
her energy all over it.
It's so interesting. I'm having trouble even imagining it because her drawing style is so unique.
Yeah, yes. It's kind of, I would say, like it's got a um impressionist or post-impressionist kind of look, a little Van Gogh-ish, very much about the patterning of lights and darks and color.
Huh, that sounds
Very
very
unique.
cool.
But she really nailed the likeness too. She's great at that.
yeah.
It's cool. I love seeing that. And the interesting thing about Rosa, which is also the interesting thing about a lot of artists, is that she just has no idea how awesome she is or how talented she is. Try to tell her, but that doesn't work. You can't.
Nope, you know better than that, Paul.
Yeah. All the best artists, even like Melissa, are just always like way too freaking humble. It's like, come on, you're good, admit it.
We're our own worst critics. It's just how it
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah. It's hard for people to appreciate their own art sometimes. It's just you can't separate yourself from it enough to see what's good about it. Or what you see as a mistake, somebody else sees as, what makes it really unique.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
What can you do?
You just have to meet somebody like Paul who has this innate confidence that believe they can do whatever they put their mind to and stick
Yep.
with them.
Yeah. Yeah, if only everyone could have the confidence of a cisgender white man, like the world would be, people would be a lot more confident.
Mhm.
We just think we can do anything because for a long time we have.
Right. That might be part of it,
Terrible, really.
but I'm just working on getting all of these tones in the water, and there's a lot of changes and shifts, which I think is really beautiful.
Yeah.
That's what Paul I really liked about this one is just there's so much going on in the water that you might not even notice at first.
Yeah, I'm getting more and more of an appreciation for having open spaces in my work. I used to just want to fill everything up with as much stuff as possible, but
Mhm.
I actually do a lot with the open spaces too.
Mhm. I think one of the most difficult things is to create a really simple composition and get it to work.
Yeah.
Really much more difficult than you would think.
Yep.
Shoot, I was looking on my phone. I'll have to ask my friend. I ran across as an artist in Madison who really puts me to mind of Rosa's stuff.
Oh, okay.
But I cannot I was just looking at my phone to see if I could remember. I'll try to remember before Thursday.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be cool.
All right, this book does need a little bit of detail.
All right, I've got 13 more minutes for water. Whew. You're gonna see me sweating here soon.
Anyone at home, you don't have to. You don't
Yeah,
have to take the same timetable.
yeah. Don't feel the panic that I'm feeling right now.
Yeah. Someone will pressure you.
Oh, but it's so fun for me to pressure people.
I know it is. Don't let him do to you what he's done to me.
It's just toughened you up. That's what all bullies say, isn't it? Ironic that I run an anti-bullying organization.
You mean well.
Yeah, right. I was telling Melissa we went to see a friend last night who was in this pole dancing show at this dance studio out here, and now I want to do a figure drawing class with like pole dancing models, because the whole time I was sitting there I wanted to draw them. It was amazing.
Do not include figures pole dancing in the paint your way.
You never know, Becky.
Yeah.
Fall into that, Becky?
You know what that makes me think of?
What's
Seriously?
that?
So I didn't really understand much about gesture drawing.
Uh-huh.
It has really turned us on to gesture drawing, and I mean, I could see gesture drawing with pole dancing.
Right.
Yep. That's
That's
the
what-
thing I said, Jackie. You got to be quick if you're gonna
Yeah.
draw them.
You do,
Yeah.
but that's what gesture drawing is.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
can see
That's
it.
what kind of like appealed to me about, and also the way that they would contort their bodies, that it looked
Yes.
they ended up in positions that were just not like what you expect
Right.
bodies to look like, which I think can be a really good thing when you're figure drawing, because you're less inclined to just draw your own kind of default what you think a body should be, and you focus
Right.
more on what you see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be tricky for sure. It would be a good test.
Yeah, I mean, there would be some poses they can hold longer than others, but we
But
won't
not-
we won't do it in this class. It'll be its own special class, Becky.
I'm not taking it.
Not a
Did I
fan,
mention
huh?
how I spent 2 hours drawing or painting a hand that I painted over?
See, you could learn about
Oh, Becky, he'll just turn that into an opportunity.
Yes,
Oh,
when you're-
no.
this could mean this would be the perfect class for you.
You
I
know,
mean,
I
it would
keep
be
drawing.
interesting.
I
Go
keep
ahead.
drawing people they've got noses and ears and
I know, it's
annoying
funny
things.
thing that these people all have that, huh?
I think they're supposed to have that, Becky.
Yeah, you're doing it right.
I thought it was the artist interpretation. I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
that's true too. You can take it your own way.
I mean, it would be interesting to do like a yoga class or something, and
Yoga would be good.
Yeah.
Any kind of acrobatic, anything where people get into weird positions, I think.
yeah, be a challenge for sure.
Yeah. You know I like that.
You do. You love to drag people into it with you, screaming all the way.
My favorite thing.
Mhm.
So is the little motor thing? I don't know anything about boats. Is that optional? Can I just get rid of that? Because
My boat doesn't have it in it.
okay, I'm gonna take that as a yes, then I'm getting rid of it too. I don't want I don't want people to imagine it speeding along. I want it to be just like resting there.
Right. I mean, it's a motorboat, but you could turn it into a rowboat or something, right?
Yeah. Done.
Have you ever been canoeing, Paul?
Um, yes, but it has been a long time. I think I was maybe a kid.
Oh, really? I was trying
Oh
to think
yeah.
if I think we ever went canoeing.
I don't think so. Dennis won't do it with me because he's convinced I'll flip us over. So I'm on my own there.
Yeah, we went canoeing with my mom one time, and
Oh yeah.
eventually I tell her just put your oar in the boat. Just stop. We got this. You don't need to do that anymore.
See, I'd be thrilled
Get
if
it.
I didn't have to work. I could just lay there.
Yeah.
Five more minutes for me before I have to start on the boat. Clock's ticking.
Goodness.
Think I'm gonna make it.
So, Paul, are you somebody that works on a bunch of paintings at once, or are you somebody that you do one painting and then you move on to the next one?
Oh, definitely a bunch at once.
Bunch at once. That's what I was guessing.
Yes. I have 3 that are in the works over here at the moment. You're one at a time, aren't you?
You bet.
Yep. That checks out on both pieces.
Yeah.
I'm very ADD. I like to bounce around.
Yeah. I have to focus on one.
Yeah.
Or I don't think I'd ever finish it. I think once I move on to something else, I'm done with the first one.
Oh, Yeah. See, for me, it actually helps. I like
Oh.
getting away from it. It like gives me a fresh perspective.
I'm the once and done person.
Are you?
I can't, I have trouble. I take poetry classes too. I can't rewrite. I got
Uh-huh.
and that's why I gave up sewing a long time ago. And when I
Yeah.
was in junior high, she had me rip out the second time, and that did it.
Yeah, I'm done with
You're
this.
done.
Once, ripped it out the second time. I said, you know what, I'm done. This is not for me.
See, you have to know what works for you. That's good.
You do, you just do. And there's only so much time to do what you can do.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
So you've got to be having fun, whatever it is.
Yes, I agree.
I love that you can have several things going on at one time. That's very cool.
Yeah, for me, that is really what works the best.
Yeah.
Plus, just because of how thick I paint, kind of need to be able to give one canvas a break and let it dry a bit.
I was able to get to Guggenheim when I was in New York, and I saw Nick Cave, who I didn't know his work, and I'm an assemblage artist,
Uh-huh.
painter, and I was just astounded at him and Sarah Z. They were amazing.
I don't think I know him. Do you?
They're both assemblage artists. She does stuff with movable parts and lights and old TVs.
Oh, wow.
And it was, and rooms full with big ladders, and it was just amazing.
Oh, I'm so glad you got to go. It looked like you had an awesome trip.
We did. I did. We all did. It was great. Yeah.
You saw like several shows or like Broadway type
Did.
shows too,
We
right?
did. We saw three on Broadway and one off because we were there on a Monday, and we were only there 4 full days in the city, and I'll get as many Broadway shows in as I can get.
Yeah, that's
So
great.
we got an off Broadway on a Monday.
Uh-huh. Nice.
Yeah,
That sounds like a fun trip, Jackie.
it really was. It was really good. My little 6-pound dog, he just went, he did everything.
Oh,
That probably fit in New York. I feel like that people take their
Yeah.
dogs everywhere in New York.
yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're down to half an hour, Paul.
Well, now look who's putting the pressure on. All right. One more minute. All right. One more.
Something that helps when painting water is just capturing little areas of light where the reflections are. Just getting a little bit lighter in certain areas, adding some white. I feel like it really helps add some depth and just make it look like water.
Mhm.
Avoid getting too flat.
Yeah, there are all kinds of interesting and unexpected shapes in there.
Mhm.
good enough for now. I'm gonna get my boat in and then go back and maybe do some more. Let's see. Very light. How's yours going, Becky?
Well,
I feel like you always say this, Becky, and it always looks beautiful.
Yeah, then you'll show
Well-
us and it'll be amazing.
I am happy with it. It's, but I was listening to you talk and I thought, oh, I'm gonna put some white in there too. And
Uh-oh, did I ruin it?
it was, well, I think technically you didn't. But yeah. And I will admit, this happens to me a lot when I'm working on things. I start messing around and then, damn it, I just kind of like go off the deep end, no pun intended.
But you know, it's good to explore and try things. You can always paint over it and paint it back to how it
Yeah.
was.
So I'll tell you the truth. I tried that today and
Uh-huh.
I just didn't do it. I have one little piece that I started with my watercolor, and then I had a bigger piece and I tried going over it, and then I said, you know what, this is just not me today.
Uh-huh. That's okay. What did you decide
I
to do
start-
instead?
When I took it off the pad, it tore. I was so happy.
Oh,
I
nice.
wanted to tear it on purpose, but taking it off the pad. So I have the small one.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, things will just happen in the artistic process that help lead you where you need to go. I think, especially if you can be open to it.
Mhm.
What would you like to paint next time, Jackie? You pick.
Oh, anytime I get anytime I get an option, I choose landscape. I really love any kind of landscape.
Uh-huh.
And this is a waterscape versus a landscape.
Oh.
I really, really, really tried to see this as all water. I worked at it because you know that whole perspective thing where they show you the picture of the old woman and the young woman, and
Yeah.
Yeah. I work with those. That's our part of my work, and so I really worked at it.
Yeah.
And I, you know what? It's me today. I'm a little off. I've got two friends that are critically ill, and I think
Aw.
I'm just.
I'm sorry to hear
I
that.
was hoping that this would take me away from all that, and I think it hasn't.
Aw.
That's on me.
Yeah, well, that's difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, I think it was a good thought though, Jackie, like trying to put your brain towards creating something. I think some of the
Yeah.
best creative pieces are done during times when
Yeah.
you just have to make something because you have to get your brain out of
Yeah.
it's not good, you know. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it could probably have the opposite effect, and making art can like bring emotions even like more
Yeah.
surface to you.
Yeah. I think the times when I always feel like I need to make something are times when I'm not feeling great.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to deal with this somehow. I have to talk about it somehow. I'm gonna do it through a painting or a drawing or something.
Yeah, definitely. Even though sometimes during those times it can be the hardest to like motivate yourself to start, but it usually does help once you do.
Yeah. Thank you for still being with us here today, Jackie. We appreciate
Yeah.
being
Oh
here.
yeah, I love being with you. That's a big piece of it right there. Just being with you has been, that's very important.
Yeah. I think even if you are making something totally different, it's still just nice to be hanging out with other artists while you're working.
Mhm.
Okay, we have 20 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh my goodness. Yeah, no pressure. Just here to relax, Jackie.
it's just for fun. Clock's ticking.
We can tell you we're at a timed event.
Jeez.
I know, maybe I am ready for that speed painting competition.
When we're making our videos, it's just Paul and I, and he will set a timer.
Yes, because
You
we have
know.
to, like, they're supposed to be 10 minutes long each.
Yeah. And he knows that I will go over if he lets me.
Oh, always.
And so I'll be mixing colors, and he's like, "All right, we ready to paint? Ready to paint now? Ready to move on? We
Oh
good?"
no, I thought I was being very subtle about that, Melissa.
Yes, Paul, we can move on now.
Yeah. Like, we have 10 minutes and you just spent 5 of them mixing that blue.
I just know exactly what's going through his brain when
Like, oh God, come on.
he's just staring at that timer and watching it tick down.
I've had my blue mixed for 3 minutes. Can we move this?
Yeah, speed it up.
Yeah.
Um,
That's why we work well together, because sometimes you need a little of that perfectionist side, and sometimes you need to just keep it moving.
Fight my best efforts to stick with more pink because I do think it's beautiful.
Mhm.
I just can't get enough of an orange in this.
Well, you're allowed to change it. Make it whatever you want it to be, Becky.
Oh, honey, it is what I want it to be because it looks like a picture. It is like it said, yeah, that is a picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that was my greatest challenge. Typically, on just about anything I've tried painting, I can make something out of it.
Uh-huh.
This didn't give me. And then I thought about just going to clouds, or just going to water, and then it got muddy.
Mm.
I can see
Oh,
that.
yeah.
This is a tricky one color wise to have it not get muddy.
It
Yeah.
is, because yeah, it's
Very
not, the colors are all kind of similar in the background.
Yeah, they're all a little bit earthy. You gotta be a little bit careful when you mix these two because they could get very muddy.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of, well, can you think of any tips on how to avoid that?
Mhm.
Well,
How do I put that?
I think, you know, one thing that helps me is pre-mixing a lot of colors on my palette, so I'm not trying to like mix them on the canvas. I can, you know, I have like the more purpley kind of colors, and I have the more peachy colors, and I just have everything kind of mixed out separately, so I can just paint them, you know, almost like paint paint by number in a way, so that they're not having to mix together a lot
Mhm.
where I want them to. That's one thing.
Watercolors are brutal.
Oh yes, that can be that. Yes, with watercolor, you have to
Brutal.
really be careful. It can be cool, but yeah, it can also be challenging.
Yeah, I think one thing I've seen new painters do a lot is over blending. So
Yeah. Yep.
putting the
What do you
color
mean? What's over blending?
Yes,
As I sit here blending my heart out.
yeah. Just look down, Becky. That's what it is.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
It's when you when you when you overblend, but
I know. Trying to figure out how do I say this. I think it's
you can lose the structure very quickly if there are no edges or shifts like just the structure, even when you're painting something like a big the surface of the water, which fills up most of the canvas, there's still a structure to it, and if everything gets too blended, it just all feels very fuzzy and not distinct.
Oh, damn.
I think one, this is probably oversimplifying it, but one way to avoid that is just letting things dry first and then going back into them instead of laying all your color down at the same time and then trying super hard to get everything to blend really well.
Yeah.
I think I would be intentional about putting colors in certain places too.
Especially with watercolor, if you're working with that, you have to really kind of be strategic.
Yeah. I think I would look at certain areas like as I'm looking at this, I'm splitting it up into thirds kind of, so that top third is very blended. You get your kind of this foggy blue mixing into a little bit of this neutral pink color. And I do a lot of blending up there because it's very soft. And then I'm looking more at that middle area where it gets a little bit darker. You're starting to get some of the earth tones where you are getting a little bit of the blue mixing with the pink, but being intentional about creating this this wave or this kind of separated piece here where it does get a little bit darker. So I know that I want to keep that, and I want to keep this kind of line close to where the boat is, where it gets a little bit darker versus a little bit lighter. And I know I want to keep those areas. So I'm painting those areas first, and then I'm thinking about just blending in small areas around that. I don't know if that helps at all. That's probably a little too vague.
I think one thing I need to work on, especially in these kind of pictures, or not when you're painting a thing. I mean, I know we're painting a thing, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Is that whole thing about where you intentionally put color. I feel like I just kind of like, oh, here's do this here. And
yeah, it's harder in some ways, I think, to find the structure or create the structure when you're painting something that feels more open like this, but there is still that underlying structure to it. You have to kind of look a little harder for, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. So there is still, you are still painting something, I think it's just the way you look at it. You are still painting an object with color shifts and value shifts, and it's still, I guess you're still looking at it as if it is an object instead of just, this is all kind of a mix of color and I'm just going to go blend it.
Yeah.
I think it's still kind of finding different aspects within that shape. Like when you're painting a sky, you're painting the clouds, and there are specific areas where you want to get that structure, like Paul said.
Yeah. I'm actually very bad at skies.
Really? I don't recall that. You painted some great skies.
I don't paint that many, do I?
Well, it's usually there's other stuff going on, but there's skies in there.
But like that picture of the two women, I'm so unhappy with the background.
Oh,
I
really?
think the two of them look great and I'm very happy with it, but
Hmm?
the background is just something. It's and interesting. It's which to me is the greatest sin is to be uninteresting.
Yes, yes. Well, bring it back sometime. We can work more on it if you want to.
Yeah, it's the one I'm definitely, I've got two that I want to do again. I don't know if I'll fix what they are or
Mhm.
do, do them over again. But that's one of them.
Yeah. I think,
Because I like
something
the two
Melissa,
ladies.
yeah, oh, I love them. Yeah. Something Melissa said really like makes sense. I think for once, good job, Melissa. Um,
One time is good enough for me. I'll tell you.
yeah. Um, if you can like get yourself to not think about what it is. I mean, that is my number one tip for painting anything. That what helps me. I mean, I have not been thinking about this as water, thinking about this as a boat at all. I truly just see shapes. That's it.
Yeah.
And so if you do that, then it won't matter whether you're painting a sky or whatever it is.
And that's really the place where you want to get, that I think will really improve any of your drawings or your paintings, where you're kind of just looking at the way things change throughout the image.
Mm-hmm.
Not even, not even the difference between the subject matter and the background, just the way things change, where they're at, based on where they're at within the image.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're just thinking, okay, right here it gets a little bit darker. There's a slight amount of pink, and it's a little bit cooler as it moves down. So that's how I'm going to think about it as I'm painting this section.
Mm-hmm. As soon as you start saying I'm painting a sky right now, then it completely changes everything. But if you don't think of that,
Yeah.
But what about when people are painting not with reference photos? When they're just painting like they do on TV?
they're liars.
I think it's still a similar thought process. Like, I think you're like, well, here I want it to get a little bit lighter, and here I want, I want there to be a harder edge, or here I want there to be a softer edge.
Those YouTube people can really mess with your head.
Yeah, but they could very easily be looking at a reference that's just out of view.
You're not seeing, yeah.
Oh.
Anytime something looks, very believable, I feel like there's a very good chance that there was a reference involved. There's absolutely nothing wrong with using references, and I encourage everybody to, if they're going for any level of realism. And you can still always change them, but gives you
Right.
something to start with.
Or it might be somebody that's worked with reference so long that they understand how
Mhm.
Yeah.
light will affect it, or how it will shift depending on what you're looking at and how you're looking at it.
Yeah.
I think anything's going to be better if you're looking at reference, though.
Yeah.
Melissa, I think when you look at this picture, you're going to say, gosh, I wish he had blended more. You're going to be like, whoa, what happened here?
I know that I cannot wait to see it. Only 9 more minutes to go, and then we can get to
Oh my
it.
goodness.
Although this might be one of the few times I've finished a picture in one of these classes.
Yes.
I've got all these unfinished.
I'm with you. That's like my whole portfolio from these classes is like half finished paintings.
Well, mine are all finished.
Yeah,
Hi, I am in class.
Oh, Paul.
Now I'm just adding shit for the hell of it.
That can be fun. It can also be very dangerous.
I
That's
know.
the danger
I
of
know.
finishing early.
Yeah.
I think this painting class is where this saying "quit while you're ahead" came from. All right, done.
Good job.
You did it.
I am not going to keep gilding the lily, which is unusual for me.
Yeah, knowing when to quit is a skill all on its own.
That is true. Yep. Some of us only know how to quit because we are reaching a deadline.
Yeah.
That is usually what works for me.
I
Deadline.
feel like my boat's a facsimile of a boat.
That could be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be.
Oh, this was fun, very different.
Mhm. About 5 minutes.
All right. A little more with the water.
Shadow. I really like the reflection of the boat. I feel like that adds some dimension to the water. And
Yeah, I like that too. I'm painting that right now. Kind of nice, and you see like parts of the boat that you don't see above.
yeah, there's some detail in it, which is interesting.
Mhm. Sometimes I like using big like house painting brushes.
Mhm.
I should have
Actually,
used that when I was doing my base coat. That would have made that look like good.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh.
You can sort of take advantage of if you have a brush with a little bit coarser bristles when you're painting something with a lot of repeating lines like that, because you can, in one stroke, you can get a whole bunch of streaks, which usually is not what you want.
Yeah. Could work here, yeah.
Yep. I like anything that does the work for me.
including me.
Right, yes. All right, one more minute. Then it's show and tell time.
On the inside of the boat, there's some cool areas where the white goes down into the floor. It's
Mhm.
a nice contrast to a lot of the warm colors throughout the image.
Yeah. Yeah, it really makes it like pop out even more. All right, are we ready?
Aw,
You
so close.
need another minute, Melissa.
No, it's fine.
Okay. All right. Well, you've seen ours now this whole time. I'll move out of the way. There's mine. There's Melissa's. Nice work.
Beautiful.
It's
all right,
amazing, you two.
thank you. You can see how different they are, though. I went for more crazy colors. Melissa's much more like true to the original, but our boats look similar. That's good, I guess. All right. Let's see here. Let me get rid of our spotlight, and we'll be able to see everybody. All right. Who wants to share theirs first?
This is what's called a not necessarily reasonable facsimile, but when you're really
Oh, that's cool.
when you're faking it, you frame it.
I love that. I think
Yeah,
that's
I do
that's
too.
really
So
cool.
that's watercolor. And I, I just got to that point and stopped. I had a larger one that I painted watercolor. And then I thought, you know what, this is just not working. So I'll get me some acrylic and I'll try something different. I'll like do all clouds, and boy,
Yeah.
did I muddy it up. So I tore it inadvertently. I don't tear things up as a rule, but I tore it inadvertently. And it was a sign.
Yeah, yes.
It was what I really love was being with you. Thank you.
Oh, we love that too. All right, Becky, your turn. Let's see what you got. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful.
Ah.
Oh, look at the colors. You did
Yeah.
great.
I think you
It
did
looks
a really nice
fuzzy.
job.
It looks what?
Is it out of focus?
Uh-uh.
I don't think so.
No, it looks good.
Yeah.
Nice job. I love it.
I think you did a great color blend there, Becky.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes, it is not overly blended at all. You've
Nope.
got a lot of good variation in there.
Yep.
Nice work.
Yep.
Oh,
Good class, you two.
good. We enjoyed it. Here, let me switch my camera. This is weird. You're talking to the back of my head. There.
So the classes are switched to Sunday?
Yes. So going forward,
Okay.
this one will be the last Sunday of each month.
Okay, that actually works a little better. Saturday is kind of a hubbubby
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. For everybody that's watching the video in the future, thank you too. Come back and take some more classes with us.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye, everybody.
Melissa.